Welcome back to Gossip Stone, the podcast that I do here on my channel. Today I am once again joined by the Shiekah squad that is consisted of Newborn Killick, Edible Incredible, Xenogamer, and Nehru, who unfortunately isn't here today, and myself, Tyler Townsend. Since the last episode of this, where we talked about the 35th anniversary of Zelda, like the day after, we got the reveal of Age of Calamity, which might be something you know about. It's a pretty substantial thing in the Zelda community. I guess the main thing I'll open with is there's a lot of stuff that they're giving us in Age of Calamity that were originally like wish list items for people for Breath of the Wild 2. Stuff like a playable Zelda and like a rebuilt Hyrule. Do we think that this is a possibility of them getting those things out of the way for people so that they can focus on other gameplay and world mechanics that they really want to do? And they're just, Age of Calamity is purely like a fan service type thing to get all those highly requested things out of the way.
Probably, honestly. I mean, when you think of a Zelda game, right? And it could change at any minute, right? Breath of the Wild mixed things up to a crazy degree. So, there very well could be like a co-op style game in the mix at some point. Always a possibility. Whenever I think of Zelda, I usually think of like a solo adventure, though. And even if for some points maybe you would say play as Zelda, that's really what I'm getting at and fixating here is I'd love to play as Zelda. I think that would be great. But then the meme would be alive that you'd say, hey, look, I'm playing as Zelda in a Zelda game. And I don't know if Nintendo's ready to give us that.
Well, they got to make her green then. Give her a green outfit.
A Linkle, basically.
Yeah. Linkle, can we get a male version of Zelda then?
Yeah.
What would their name be?
Zelda.
Zelda or something.
Zelda.
He's a country boy. That old Zelda.
Perfect.
Zed. I don't know.
It's a very interesting thing for me. It was one of the original takeaways that I had, like when Age of Calamity was first revealed, like a month ago at this point, was that a playable Zelda and like playable Hyrule Castle Town and like pre-destroyed Calamity, and like I know a lot of people even like wanted to see like time travel return so they could see Hyrule in its glory days. So I don't know, a lot of that kind of jumped out at me as like maybe this is their way of giving the fans things that they really, really want without compromising the story and direction that they have for Breath of the Wild 2.
Now, when Age of Calamity was revealed, I saw it as an absolute win. Because basically I want Breath of the Wild 2 to be a full-on sequel. Forget about all the stuff that came before it. Push the story forward. Tell us more about the new ideas and new stuff that you have in store. So, also getting this and also learning more about the past, basically making Breath of the Wild story worth something, even if it took a different game to do it. I really like that idea, and that's why Age of Calamity is so exciting to me personally.
Yeah, same with fans in general who love Hyrule Warriors. If they were like, I like one friend who wasn't a big fan of Breath of the Wild. He likes the more traditional Zelda games. I'm not sure he would like Hyrule Warriors specifically, but people like the hack and slash thing. It's like, all right, if you never really got into Breath of the Wild, if you weren't like a big open world fan, you can hop into this. Maybe you'll be intrigued by the lore. Check out Breath of the Wild 2 and so on. So, but I mean, absolutely agree. Like Castletown and a playable Zelda has been all over. Everybody's wanted it so much. So it's like, okay, here you go. And so we can completely focus on this probably unique. And, how every Zelda is like a whole new twist, a whole new area. I mean, we're getting the map back in Breath of the Wild 2. But there could be like a whole half of it could be underground, or who knows, this is probably gonna be a whole new twist, like it always is. So they're getting this out of the way so they can, like you guys said, completely focus on this next hobby. So totally agree.
It's also just such a good fit that the war 100 years ago.
No,
where,
100%.
Yeah. And a Warriors game, just it couldn't have been a better fit. And they just had Hyrule Warriors, which was a huge success, and it was a very great game. So now just give that over to a team you already trust and a setting that just fits so well for them, and that's Age of Calamity.
Man.
Yeah, and it's sure to print money because tying it to the best-selling Zelda game, and arguably one of the best titles on the Switch itself, is already going to do so much for this game just in general that there's going to be a huge influx of people that aren't familiar with Hyrule Warriors just in general that are going to be picking this up. And like you guys were alluding to a second ago, like this is, I agree. I think this is like the perfect way to portray the events of the Great Calamity and like the massive war that it was, and flesh out the story to a higher degree.
Totally agree.
Yep, shaking my head.
Now, I don't know how many of you guys have played through Hyrule Warriors. Admittedly, I wasn't like captivated by it when it originally came out back in 2014, I think it was, for the Wii U.
Yeah.
I played it for maybe like 5-6 hours, but ultimately I think I wanted more Zelda than a Dynasty Warriors game. So like I found myself just uninterested, and I kind of dropped it at that point. So like for me going into this, it gives me another chance at experiencing a Warriors game, but seeing what they're offering in this, I don't know like to a nitty-gritty detail like how different it's going to be from an original Warriors game. So for you guys that have some more experience with Hyrule Warriors, what is it that you see that's just like blatantly obvious that's different about this compared to its predecessor?
Well, there's a lot of things. Like just the Warriors formula itself has changed a lot since 2014 with Hyrule Warriors. And just myself, like playing Hyrule Warriors, I adore the game. I think it's great, and I played through the entire story. I did a bunch of the adventure map too, and there's like a ton of adventure maps, and they're all great. It's very grindy at times, but like if you're into that, and if you like the basic gameplay, you get like a whole lot of bang for your buck. With Age of Calamity, the systems just seem to be like a lot more refined. You can switch characters in this game, which is something that was in the Switch version of Hyrule Warriors, but not in the original one. So you who did not play that original version, be thankful. And yeah, it just looks like it's going to be an overall improvement of what was already there in Hyrule Warriors. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, switching characters is perfect and huge for specifically this game. I mean, switching between the champions and the king, hopefully be a character. Still banking on that, but
that would be pretty great.
So important to be able to do that. Yeah.
I mean, King Daphnis was a character in Hyrule Warriors Legends, so there's hope. There's hope.
Yeah, I guess it's a good point to kind of just maybe round up some of the new characters that have been introduced or have been shown so far that are, I guess, of more notable presence, I guess you could say. So we have young Impa, younger Purah and Robbie, Koga, the new Yiga people, this mysterious new character that's cloaked in the Gerudo cloak, and of course, the multitude of other characters that they could introduce into this. Aside from King Rome, is there any potential, like, say like the Beetle of that time showing up and doing
That's
something
exactly
for this?
What I was thinking of.
Yeah, a Beetle. If you all right, so what's a wish list character that's just a Zelda staple that you would like to have in the Breath of the Wild Hyrule in Age of Calamity to play as?
One thing I do want to bring up, that's tough, I gotta think about that for a minute, but one thing I didn't consider before is like this new villain, in regards to him being playable, or him or her, I guess, being playable. I mean, of course, most likely not if you're just me playing as the good guys, but if there's any chance of that, that would be awesome.
So
I feel like honestly, if they really want to give the full 100% like 360 three-dimensional story, being able to play as like or no, I almost said the Sheikah squad. Being able to
We're
play
in the game.
as the Yiga clan for some of that, I don't think would be that weird because there are going to be certain events that don't really involve, like the champions or anything like that, that they're still doing that still really lead up to these other moments. And, they could choose to do that through cutscenes, and most likely they will, right?
Yeah.
But there could be some gameplay elements there. I mean, it would be really cool to play as a Blade Master, I think, or some of the dual wielder that we saw in the trailer for
now
the
playing as
Untold
villains
Chronicles.
is not a new thing too, because that is in Hyrule
Hyrule
Warriors. You can play
Warriors,
as
yeah.
Ganon, Zant, Girahim.
Mhm.
So I feel like there is a pretty decent chance we'll see a playable Master Koga or that other guy, at least one of the two.
For sure. I think that would also help kind of from a storytelling point as well, like kind of, maybe pull back the curtain a little bit. Yeah, and like show some of their motives, like, with the Yiga clan being, this disgraced branch of the Shiekah, it gives them a chance to tell their story and why they don't like the royal family of Hyrule, and, how they were potentially mistreated and why they were drove to worshiping Calamity Ganon. And there's a lot of different routes that I feel like they could take with this, which is ultimately like the thing I like the most is the potential that this game has and what it can change for a game that we think we already know everything about.
Yep.
I can't wait to play as Koga. The goofiest enemies always have the best movesets, honestly.
Oh, it's like Zant.
He'll kill you all to death.
Yeah.
So combat once again, as a novice to the Hyrule Warriors franchise, the combat is very much just hack and slash, waves of enemies. I don't want to say mindless gameplay, but definitely not the most complex in terms of just what I've seen. Is this going to be more, I guess, is it going to ask more of you in this game compared to the previous Hyrule Warriors game? Because we've seen stuff like shield surfing in this. We've seen with Urbosa, all of her champion abilities using lightning, and like using flurry rush and the stasis abilities and rune capabilities that we see with the Shiekah slate. How diverse of the combat loop do we think is going to be in this game? Do we think it's going to be pretty taxing on the player and you have to be hyper focused to play it?
I don't think it'd be super duper taxing. Maybe be a little bit more than. I haven't played Hyrule Warriors in a fat minute, so I forget how taxing that was. I don't feel like it was much at all. Maybe like a little bit here and there, like you said, like the Verbosa thing and other things here and there unique to certain characters and stuff. But maybe a little bit, and I hope it is a little bit more, not like super duper taxing. So maybe a little middle ground. That's how I'm feeling.
Now in Hyrule Warriors, there's a lot going on besides just like taking down hordes of enemies as well. Like a big part of the game is taking certain keeps, right? And like turning the battlefield in your favor, because like the more keeps you have, the more of your soldiers will be on the battlefield as opposed to enemy soldiers. And there's a lot going on there. Like it's more than just what people say by just looking at it. Okay, so you run around and beat up a bunch of guys. There's more strategy to it. But I feel like it is still going to be basically same thing we're seeing with Hyrule Warriors. There is going to be some more stuff going on, like the Sheikah runes. I can already see those are going to add a whole lot more variety to combat. But just like base moveset wise, I feel like it's going to be very similar to Hyrule Warriors and other Warriors games as well.
So I guess as someone who wasn't, I didn't play Dynasty Warriors or Hyrule Warriors. I had a friend who was really into it when I was younger, and it seemed like kind of dull. Of course, that could just be my perception of it off of how he was playing it. What is, say, for like a Zelda fan, excluding like I guess that's maybe not exactly fair, but not necessarily like lore wise, but like gameplay wise, what might bring a Zelda fan over to this game?
Well, it very much is a like thing that not everyone is going to like. Like it is a gameplay style that just doesn't appeal to everyone. But I feel like the main catch that Hyrule Warriors had that pulled people in was just like the amount of attention to detail that it had to Zelda. You could really tell that the team knew what they were doing. There were so many different callbacks and just like things like the bosses. They were like they were pulled out of a Zelda game. Like they had the different characteristics of how you take down a Warriors boss, but they were still Zelda bosses at heart. So like, yeah, it's just a matter of kind of Zeldifying what Warriors is. It's still a Warriors game, but with the Zelda twist.
I definitely think that's going to be like a big factor for a lot of people going into this, and I know for me personally, it's a huge factor because with Hyrule Warriors again, it wasn't a game that I was like in love with, but seeing what they've shown so far and how they've implemented Breath of the Wild combat and Breath of the Wild as a whole into this style of game has me super excited for it, and it just looks insanely fun. Like the big giant power-up moves and stuff like we saw when Link was using the sledgehammer, and he did the big slam attack and stuff. It's so anime and over the top, and it just looks like such insane fun that I think that that's going to be like one of the biggest draws for a lot of people, is that maybe it will retain some of that traditional Zelda stuff, but it's also a good thing that it does branch out and have its own kind of identity as well.
Quick question, Xeno. You sound a lot more fresh on Hyrule Warriors. Did it have difficulties? I don't remember.
I think it did. I'm pretty sure it had like at least
Sounds
3
about right,
different
yeah.
difficulty modes. It feels like it might have been something they added in the DLC. Maybe they added like an extra hard difficulty mode in the DLC.
Oh,
But I think that the game did come with difficulty mode. So yeah.
okay. I don't see why they wouldn't do it here. I think I'd prefer that.
I
it
know
could
that the
be
most
a little
difficult
easy.
part of Hyrule Warriors was the adventure mode maps. Like if you get into some of those, like they can be like really down to the wire. You need to know what you're doing. Like don't make
Oh, yeah.
mistakes. Which is always a lot of fun. I'm interested to see exactly what the side content is going to look like in Age of Calamity, because we know training missions are in the game. That is something they showed off in Treehouse Live. But I want to know to the extent of what we're going to see with those training missions. Like how many are there going to be? Are they going to get as insane as the adventure mode missions were? Or is there a completely different mode that we just have not seen yet?
I definitely think with kind of the layout of Breath of the Wild specifically, that it really opens them up to a lot of different gameplay options that they could do. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them to take like some super unique ideas, not necessarily don't use this as like a good example, but like maybe mapping areas or something like that, kind of akin to unlocking the towers in the original Breath of the Wild. I mean, maybe you need to clear out like specific areas that are being attacked and stuff that might have some deeper story implication. I definitely think that using this using the world of Breath of the Wild specifically kind of opens it up for countless possibilities.
Right.
Sure.
I forget what they've mentioned. I think they said like you can spawn in certain locations. Was it towers just like Breath of the Wild? Or is this, I guess it was like regions, I think, where's like different spots you can spawn.
Yeah.
So in the gameplay demo at Treehouse Live, they showed us the world map, and there were just like a whole ton of things all over it, like training missions, main story quests. You can cook food in this game. And there's even like a side quest like thing going on here where like you get items from battles, and then you bring them back, and like there's little like flavor text and stuff that you can do to unlock new combos and stuff, which is really interesting. They do seem to be sticking mostly to taking what is the main maps of the story and then splitting those up for the training missions. So like with the one they showed at Long Long Ranch, that one is a part of the Hyrule Field map, the main scenario one, and then also the second one they showed by the Hyrule Central Tower Garrison. That's also in the original Hyrule Field map. So yeah.
So I guess it would be huge regions, basically. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Hyrule Warrior maps are usually pretty big.
Yeah, the maps in this game are going to be bigger than what we saw in Hyrule Warriors. I'm pretty darn sure.
I mean, why not? Yeah.
I did notice during the Treehouse Live when they showed the map, instead of the 13 or 14 different like regions, like where the towers were in Breath of the Wild, they've condensed it down into I think either 5 or 6. So it's a more like, it's not necessarily centralized, but kind of condensed experience of Hyrule. Like there's instead of like one region being kind of broke up into like 3 sub-regions, it's more or less just that one specific region that you're going to.
You can even see that it's like condensed when you go into the battles, because if you compare Hyrule Field in Breath of the Wild to what we see in Age of Calamity, it's still big, but it's not as big as Breath of the Wild. There is definitely they're condensing these maps down.
Right. I'm sure a large part of that too is because like the type of game that it is that it's a battle arena, and they don't want you just you're probably not going to have the same open world capabilities of going hey, you see that rock over there, I'm going to run to it real quick. I don't think we're going to have that in Hyrule Warriors, unfortunately.
Well, if I remember correctly, one of the things in Dynasty Warriors at minimum was so strongholds would fall under attack, and naturally you'd have to go defend them. So if the map was as large, most of the game at that point I feel like would just be like, oh well, now I need to get over here for this. I mean, obviously you can switch characters. Well, no, it was confirmed you can do that, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so I mean that would cut down on the walking time a little bit, but if either of those didn't happen, if either the map wasn't smaller or something, you would really just it would almost actively discourage offensive play for the sake of just not walking around most of the time, if that makes sense. Because there's always something under attack.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. Yeah, it's just it'd be too much to manage at that point, because you would have to. There would be some loss somewhere, either in terms of quality of life of having you run across the whole map of Hyrule, or in terms of like how frequent things come under attack potentially. I probably the biggest thing about this game is its story implications. I am super curious to see how this game affects the overall lore and story of not only the original Breath of the Wild, but the sequel as well. What are the things that you guys think is going to kind of be what things are going to have some more light shed on them, and what things would you like to have more light shed on them? And this is also a good time to bring up our new mysterious fellow that was just recently shown as well.
I think it'd be interesting to see what experiment led Purah to becoming a small child. Yeah. She's 120, by the way, in Breath of the Wild.
She is, yes. Impa is
Which,
as well.
Right.
Actually, no, Impa
way.
is 120 in Breath of the Wild, so Pyrrha is actually older.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I'm super curious to just see what this game's going to reveal that could potentially tie into the sequel. I think with the this new hooded figure, that it really opens up a huge discussion on one, who this person is, what their motives are, and ultimately what effect they have on that story in general. I know some really popular theories right now is that it's the fortune teller, that it's Zelda's mother, that it's Twin Rova, that it's the Green Hand, that it could be Ganondorf. Thoughts on that, guys? Who do you theorize that this potentially could be?
I definitely think that there's going to be kind of like this duality where it was kind of like laying dormant during Breath of the Wild, but maybe was a problem in Age of Calamity, and then kind of, maybe cropped its head up a little bit through Breath of the Wild 1, and then is like the main problem in Breath of the Wild 2. One of the things that I noticed, and this is pretty base level observation. So they both had the Gerudo symbol on them. The Ganondorf in the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and this person as well, which, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, aren't really associated with the Yiga clan at all. Is that correct? Because I mean,
Not really, no.
They're just kind of doing their own thing. So it's super weird that someone with Shiekah, like the Shiekah cloak, basically, who just happens to be someone, that a clan rather that we closely associate with Ganondorf and Ganon and stuff like that, apparently has some ties over, I would almost go as far as say, the entirety of the Yiga clan, just because Koga and this hooded figure are kind of together.
Now, it's definitely interesting because this is a figure that we know nothing about, at least from what we know right now. So that means that there is stuff that's happened in Age of Calamity that Breath of the Wild didn't really tell us about, apparently, because we didn't know about this figure. So that really opens up the door to even more new storytelling, because we know that Age of Calamity is going to tell us more about what we already knew. But now this could potentially tell us even more beyond that, just like stuff that might even lead into the sequel, which is something that could very much happen because this game is being developed at the same time as the sequel, and they're being done in conjunction. So the Zelda team has been checking in, and they are basically supervising this, at least from what I could tell in the announcement trailer. That's what it sounded like. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the new content that comes out of this game is going to look like.
Yeah. So my little, I guess, well, you shouldn't even say theory, because we really didn't see much to call it a theory. It's more so speculation on this new character. But what I was thinking was, I don't think it's Ganon, or as cool as would be to get Fossey in this game, I'd freak out, but I really don't see that happening, especially in a spinoff. But I'm thinking the more I look at this, it's like, maybe it is a female. Probably. I'm leaning towards now a female, because I just had his face on screen for this whole time, staring at his face. But what I was thinking before was, so remember back in Ocarina, when I forget who said it, that a male Gerudo is born every 100 years. I don't think that's just like been thrown out of the water, unless they've somehow avoided that, without like it coming back into the lore for whatever reason. So, I'm assuming once again, that the corpse is the old Ganondorf, and then maybe if this is a male, of course, it has a Gerudo symbol, has like the yellow Ganondorf-looking eyes. So what I was thinking before, like obviously the Gerudo in Breath of the Wild are super anti-male in their tribe. The only way I think of them getting rid of it, this is super dark, but them literally butchering whenever a male is born. Like, all right, no chance of any evil happening. Let's just get rid of this baby. So maybe this guy here was a baby that was actually male, and he somehow was able to survive, or he was born somewhere else in poverty aside from the Gerudo town or something. And because of him being male, and because of them being like, oh no, you shouldn't survive because you're male, except for history, maybe he was just like super anti that, and that's just fueled him to be like, all right, I'm gonna resurrect the old Ganon. But I feel like it's, for one, most likely it's a whole completely new character. But I was leaning towards, if I had to choose something, that it's like an exiled male Gerudo.
I like the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I am also a big fan of that. That's a pretty great theory.
Cool. I would think that if he was kind of an exiled male Gerudo, that he wouldn't be wearing like there's you know he wouldn't
That's
be
a great
repping them
point. That's
basically.
a great point.
Then
But this
again,
is just
this figure seems to be operating in the shadows, from what we can tell. They've never been out in
Mhm.
the front like Koga or this other new person.
Good point.
I
Mhm.
think there is a possibility that could be a thing. And you said you weren't sure if it coincided with the lore because like we don't know if there has
Right. Is
been
that still
another
a thing
male
every 100
Gerudo born.
years? Right.
I believe for Breath of the Wild they said either in creating the champion or in the actual game
Mhm.
that there hasn't been. But with the whole thing you said about them butchering it and everything, I feel like that could be something the Gerudo just said to write this off and make it seem like this is never a thing that happened, because you
So
want
wait,
to
this is
cover
not a thing
something like that
anymore.
up.
Right. Because that's terrible. Right. Yeah.
Here's something else to consider. So this kind of got brought up when we were talking about this hooded figure actually repping like the Gerudo symbol and stuff like that. That would, in some loose way, imply that potentially Urbosa, maybe not Urbosa, but at minimum the leader knows what's going on. Because if you want to hide your identity, the worst thing you can do is like say, "Hey, I'm a Gerudo," right? So it doesn't seem like it kind of, I don't know. And the mark could just be there for us, right? Maybe
Yeah.
in game it'll be removed or something like that, just to make this make a little bit more sense. Because if you're trying to work like under the table, why would you like announce your essentially allegiance with the Gerudo, which is at this point seems to be part of the enemy, because I mean they side with the royal family and stuff like that. It could also be maybe the Gerudo are just kind of like feeling out which side's going on, just figuring out what's going on basically, and maybe just picking the victor. I don't know.
Maybe it's important of note to point out that this isn't like a this Gerudo symbol is accompanied by another design underneath it. It's not just the Gerudo symbol as we know it. It is a little bit more ornate and has some more things to it. I don't. There's nothing that immediately jumps out to me as to what it could be tied to. But I don't know. Like the idea that it could be like, this.
I might have something on that actually.
Oh, what
so
go for it.
Just total speculation, but when you think about like the Shiekah and the Yiga clan, so the Yiga clan symbol is the reverse lens of truth. That kind of almost looks like, so if you look at the back of this hooded figure, right, the kind of flares out kind of match what the Yiga clan has going on, and then like the inside, it has the overall shape of the lens of truth.
Oh,
if you look at the Shiekah versus this new kind of like the bottom's the handle,
or the tier icon of the logo as well.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think of it like that. It's like merging Gerudo and Shiekah together.
So maybe this is some person who's like really advocating for an alliance between the two, or it's just a cool like ornate design to make the kid look a little
cooler.
cooler.
Was leaning towards an ornate design, but that is definitely a cool idea. I would not be surprised if that is a thing. It could go either way.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Nintendo's very deliberate with the things that they do. So I feel like there's definitely something there. I feel like there's definitely something there. Other big important thing that we know about this character is that they have a corrupted ancient core that is not glowing the traditional blue and orange of calm Shiekah tech, but the same color of malice. What's the likelihood this guy is or gal is the one orchestrating the whole calamity and the one behind the Guardians?
It's like gotta be. He's gotta be at least the leader of resurrecting.
Now, looking at this right here, it really makes me kind of proud of myself because so I did a video a few weeks ago where I went into basically the fortune teller, correct, and how they're very mysterious. We don't know a lot about them, but we do know that if they hadn't told the king and all of Hyrule to unbury these divine beasts, then they could have had a shot at winning. Because the divine beast falling and the guardians being taken over is why Hyrule went down for the most part. And this person right here is corrupting technology. They're corrupting Shiekah technology. So it seems to fit pretty well, right? So I definitely think there is something going on there. I feel like they could be a very close servant of Ganondorf, and maybe even this fortune teller who is working in the shadows to basically orchestrate what is the Calamity. And that's probably the theory I'm most leaning towards right now, just because I think it's a really great one.
I think it's the strongest theory at the moment. Like it's the thing with the fortune teller is that they're nondescript. Like we don't know anything about them, so there's not really much to go on there. So that kind of leads well for this character to be the fortune teller.
There are a few discrepancies, like in creating the champion, which can easily be retconned if we're being honest. But in creating the champion, they say the fortune teller was a Hylian, which goes against what we see on this cape here, correct?
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow.
So there are discrepancies, but like I said, creating the champion can easily be retconned.
And it could also be like we were talking about earlier, that maybe this guy's just a giant Ganondorf fanboy and just wants to have his marketing all over him.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Fair. All right, so I guess the thing that I want to close with is what do you guys want to see more of? Like we're getting basically a trailer every week at this point. What things would you like them to show?
Gameplay this guy tomorrow.
Actually,
go ahead.
I've been looking at this for like the last 5 minutes and trying to figure out if it even has merit. But so going back to the whole like representation of the Gerudo, when I look at Urbosa, I don't see like the Gerudo sigil anywhere on her. When you look at Mipha, she actually has like the Zora symbol like kind of on her head there. And then when you look, that's interesting actually. So I'm trying to find the right picture here. So Urbosa doesn't have the Gerudo symbol anywhere on here, and neither does the leader of the Gerudo. When you look at her like tiara at the top, it's more of like the moon shape,
like the scimitar.
So I'm looking for that picture here.
Which trailer? Are you looking at one of the trailers, right?
I mean, just any picture of Urbosa and the leader, honestly.
At least
but I know that. Go ahead.
Okay, so at least on Ryuji, not Ryuji. Whatever her name is.
Yeah.
The leader in present day, she does have a symbol like around her waist, and on her belt in the picture that I'm looking at. Also there is one on her tiara too in this picture. So maybe we're just looking at different pictures and she's wearing something different. I don't know, but I see two signs.
And something that I think is kind of interesting. So I uploaded this picture. In Ocarina of Time, there was a little bit of censoring that happened to the Gerudo and stuff. So the old Gerudo symbol seems to be the symbol that they're going with for like the Gerudo proper. If you look like her tiara, it's kind of like that moon shape. I think Urbosa has her earrings are this crescent shape here as well. But the new Gerudo symbol is actually what we see on the hooded figure.
I think they are using both.
Just an observation.
Isn't the one on the walls of Gerudo Town the one we see on the back of the figure?
It is, yeah. One of the cut scenes for Champion's Ballad, when Zelda is I guess, asking Urbosa, or part of it as like pleading to her to be the champion, is they do kind of like this pan into Gerudo Town, and you can see the symbol at the top.
Which symbol is it? Is it the moon symbol or the new symbol?
It's the new one. The new one's on.
The new one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
that
the
is
go-to one
interesting,
for
though,
them.
that they are using both of them.
Right.
Yeah,
because
it's like
I
low-key.
never even saw that.
Yeah, me neither.
Symbol
that's-
there. It was like, yeah.
If you, I mean, I've played it, enough Ocarina of Time that you start to notice inconsistencies with like censoring between. I think it's the original version has the moon. I think that's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to say Muslim, but it's something,
Yeah,
and
I
they
forget, but
censored
yeah.
it, and now it has the new one
Yeah, I
basically.
do believe it's Islamic symbol. Yeah.
There was
Yeah,
some. There was the whole thing with like the Spirit Temple music as well, for like having Arabic
Mhm.
chanting and stuff that had
Yeah,
to
the
be
fire
removed.
temple.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
the fire
Temple too,
temple. I think it
was
was.
the fire temple. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't surprise me if that was if that was something similar as well.
I did
just
like the
thought that was
original
super
design,
interesting.
but yeah.
Lots of
Anyway,
lots of
sorry, we were
No,
moving on.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, that's the cool thing about this, is that there's just so much that we can like pick apart from it when there's like so little that we know, which I guess just
Mhm.
Yeah.
speaks to the volume of Zelda lore in general. But yeah, it's super interesting to not only see that we're getting more fleshed out story for Breath of the Wild, but we're getting like all these new interesting characters added as well, that are gonna really just completely change what we know about the game. But the final thing that I wanted to propose to you guys was what are things that you want to see in this game, like or what maybe even in the trailers over the coming weeks leading up to it, just kind of what your general desires for Age of Calamity to have.
Play as Guardian Egg.
Oh snap!
R2.
Still waiting for that gameplay of Purah and Robbie. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure if Robbie and Purah would be playable. I mean, it would be cool, but
Not?
I don't
What
know.
I
I
think there is some evidence.
What would their
against
moveset
them
be?
being
Gotta
playable.
be right. Why would
They
they?
could. I have a feeling that they could control Guardians. Like
that
I don't.
that might be how they allow you to do that.
I
Actually,
can
yeah.
see that. Okay.
I don't want to
When they
say
posted
Guardian
the
mech
trailer-
suit, but
So when they posted the trailer for Pura and Robbie, I believe in the UK, I think it was in Nintendo UK, on their tweet of it, they said something along the lines of, "These characters will help you out from the sidelines," which I think is kind of trying to deconfirm them, which is terrible, because I love both of their new designs and they're amazing. But yeah, just I believe that's something I saw.
Damn. I mean, it makes sense. They would have shown it in the
Yeah.
treehouse by now, if it was. So.
could have. Yeah. Well, I guess that also, may introduce a new level of gameplay too, because if they're support characters, maybe they can heal you from the side or something like that.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because Hyrule Warriors had a huge selection of playable characters, but from what we've seen of the layout of all the new information here, we might be looking at a much smaller roster here, which is interesting.
Maybe
I would not
case
be
of less is
surprised.
more.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we only see maybe 5 more playable characters at most.
If even, yeah, like if they're really keeping it canon, like I guess they can't do a bunch, right? Which I'd rather
Yeah,
it be
I mean,
canon.
when
I
you
feel like
think
we're gonna
about
see some villains.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have any of the notable Yiga clan, if the whole, Purah and Robbie can control guardians and stuff like that, or from the sidelines, that's just another asset that they have that maybe you wouldn't be able to use for like a whole mission. But if I can't shoot a guardian's laser in this game, I'm honestly kind of upset. Like,
True.
Yo,
so
what if they made a
and
gun?
then a gun.
what if they just gave them all guardian like laser beams as arms, and that's how you combated everything?
I wonder if they won't, like introduce so we have Link, which is kind of the archetype for like the Hylian soldier. The 4 champions, the notable villains, so that's 2, maybe 3, depending. Has Dynasty Warriors / Hyrule Warriors ever taken a route where they've kind of let you like control like a standard like foot soldier and kind of like gave them their own move set just to add a little bit of variety?
In the games that I played, no, but I've only played like Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors, so I'm not too experienced when it comes to Dynasty Warriors as a whole.
It does seem like it would be kind of lame, honestly, but then again, I
think it'd be cool.
That would help to solve the roster quote unquote issue, I guess, or maybe they'll have these extra missions where you have these additional characters, and maybe the story isn't quite as long. It's maybe like a 50-50 split of like lore and story based stuff where you are kind of locked into these characters and you're following their adventures, and then they just cram everyone else from Hyrule Warriors into the extra stuff or something for that replayability.
That's even a thing they did in Hyrule Warriors, where like some characters were not playable during the main story but unlocked afterwards, like Agatha, who was not really a big part, but you could unlock her afterwards and play as her. So like, who's saying we're not going to see Beetle?
Yeah. Oh, let's see Beetle here.
Oh my god.
Yes, please.
I would love that.
What I really want to see though is the Missing Tingle, because we know that there is a Tingle in this universe and in this era of Breath of the Wild because of Tingle Island. So maybe he was alive 100 years ago.
That is a great point. I never.
Oh no, we're gonna see his death. No.
We see Tingle die.
His disappearance.
The
we
last
don't
scene
know.
of the game.
He was the
What?
He never
original
dies.
Hylian champion.
What if this hooded figure is Tingle?
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
It all makes sense now.
Damn.
That was the
Tingle got
biggest-
pissed, I guess.
Wow.
I did a video a few months ago where I had AI predict the story of Breath of the Wild 2, and they said Tingle was going to be a dark wizard. They were predicting the wrong game.
Oh my god.
Ooh. Heard it here first.
Yep. If it's true, everyone watching this, you have to like support us in every way possible, because that is the hardest read.
I know.
I love the idea of Tingle being this guy. Oh my god. I want that to be. That's my head canon now.
Is
I
that
don't
your
care
wish
who they
list for this
actually
game?
That is now
reveal
my
it to
wish
be.
list item for Age of Calamity. 100% that Tingle be this hooded figure.
I guess he's mad that his, ancestors were not treated well by the old Link's Wind Waker and Majora's Mask. And, that's his gripe, I guess.
This is all just a giant ruse for him to sell maps. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's always got to be rupees. End of the day.
See,
That's
all his
why.
maps are outdated. If we have war and terraform the land, we'll need to redraw new maps. They'll all be outdated. Perfect plan, honestly.
Maybe we just get a bunch of jewelry from
That's how you
Ganondorf.
do business.
Age of Calamity, the dramatic political I can't talk. English is a difficult language. The political
is, man.
drama of our age. Man.
I'm just imagining a dark Tingle say Kululimpa or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yo, no.
It'd have to be a really good voice actor. It'd be so cringy.
We gotta pull up the Breath of the Wild teaser trailer now. That's gotta be what they're saying at the beginning in the music. It's gotta be Koolimpa.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Well, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to bring up and question about Age of Calamity. Is there anything you guys would like to to close out with in terms of Age of Calamity? Any other talking points?
So, I guess we did this last time, and if you, again, you find yourself in this situation where you save the CEO of Nintendo's life, and you can ask for any one thing to be in this video game, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm gonna
Any
still
one thing.
Nehru's
Not even like
idea.
grounded in any like realism or anything, just off the wall, whatever you want. It
Okay.
happens.
I'm gonna cop out and steal Nehru's idea of the trailer for a new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 being after the credits.
Honestly, that would be really hype.
Okay,
Such a good
I
way
have
to do
mine.
it.
So the way I would want it to be done is like after you beat the game or something, it's like a side story. So it can not be canon. I don't want it to be part of the main thing. Where I wanted this game to be canon. So, but if there's like a side thing or you unlock this like new adventure mode, but you can play as like old characters, I would love to just play as like Ocarina Ganondorf, Wind Waker Ganondorf, and so on, and like in this Hyrule. That'd be sick. But I want it to be non-canon, like a separate section of the game. That'd be awesome.
So if you're saying that Shintaro Furukawa is just walking outside of Nintendo one day, and there's a bus that's about to hit him, I save him. And I'm
He's
like,
a very danger-prone individual. This is the second time it's happened. So
it is, yeah. Last time it was a bullet, I think. Now it's a bus. Okay.
This man needs
Dr.
Secret
B.
Service.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell him straight up. You need to make it so that Rivali doesn't die in Age of Calamity, and that Link does, and that Rivali is the hero. So yeah, it's just that's it.
Wow.
But yeah, seriously, I'd say, just keep doing what you're doing. I think this is going to turn out to be amazing if it is anything like what the trailers are showing us. I hope that the trailers aren't showing us everything. That's my main hope right now. I hope that there's still stuff left to see after the game actually comes out, and we aren't seeing just all the great stuff right now. Because that's what we saw with Breath of the Wild with the final trailer, right?
Honestly, that was so long ago. I don't even remember any of the publication for Breath of the Wild.
In the final trailer for Breath of the Wild, they showed like all the coolest cutscenes, and I was so bummed when the game came out. I was like, okay, so I already know all the coolest cutscenes, and they take place all in the past, so I don't get to play through them or anything, and there's no real connection. So I'm just hoping that this game is better at not giving away everything in the trailers, basically.
I think so far they've done a pretty good job at kind of keeping it vague. But
I guess that leaves it to me, huh?
Yep, it's down to you, Killick.
I mean, Egg Guardian. That's it. Or make Purah not a small child in Breath of the Wild 2. Okay, let her age a little bit. We need waifus.
We got the best waifu possible with Impa, though. I need Nehru here to back me up on this one,
then. Okay, that's a conversation for another day. Guardian Egg, we'll go with that one.
Can we all agree on that, actually? Just forget all the other stuff. Let's go. Just go with that. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Playable Guardian Egg. That's all we
Oh my god,
need.
there's got to be a plush. Okay, that's it. Playable Guardian Egg and then Guardian Egg plush. You may as well just print it in. It will be money, right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll buy for sure. I'm upset that Japan gets this really cool limited edition and the U.S. and everywhere else doesn't get anything.
The best thing in that limited edition is a little tiny 2-inch keychain.
Oh, I like the paraglider though.
How big is the paraglider?
The keychain's pretty. That's a good question. I don't know.
The paraglider is supposed to be like a blanket, but they showed it off in the TGS gameplay thing, and it's like the smallest you'll ever see. It's like the size of a real paraglider. So, it's not gonna cover you.
It's a towel.
It's basically a towel.
Like a small towel, yeah. Wow. I mean, it's all right.
If there are baby guardians in Age of Calamity, I want elder guardians in Breath of the Wild 2.
Ones with a cane.
Yeah.
Purah and Rob will be controlling baby guardians. You can control
Sometimes their lasers shoot askew.
Oh man, what if it was like an RC or something? Like you just pull the Shiekah slate out and you control the little guardian.
That would be fun.
That'd be cool. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What if? So, I talked about this in one of my videos, like the wish list. I think was kind of condensing things into the Shiekah slate. What if there was a little RC functionality for the bomb or something? Then you wouldn't need a square bomb, or you could pick it up, toss it, or whatever. You wouldn't need a square bomb because it would just stay wherever you left it. Or you could treat it like a normal bomb, or you could control it. And I don't know. I think that would be cool. Might make using bombs too easy though.
Wait,
not sure.
You can move it around.
I was kind of zoned out there, but like you said stuff about bombs, and we were just talking about like remote control stuff. And then I was thinking back to the gameplay from Treehouse, where you actually see Zelda in her moveset basically like pull out this little thing that just like throws bombs. It's kind of like it looks kind of like a Shiekah version of a like that just throws bombs. And I just thought of that.
I need to rewatch that, but yeah, it's like a shit ton of bombs.
Oh yeah, no, I had to think. Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder if that's like if it's something similar to the Baby Guardian.
I believe it's part of her moveset that she just like does. I don't know if there's like any canonical thing that it would go to, because like Zelda, it's weird because there is like some disruptions of canon already here. We have the Shiekah runes already here, which we know, like Pura even says in Breath of the Wild. They weren't discovered until 100 years later in Breath of the Wild, besides the camera and whatever the other one was. But yeah, not the main one. So I don't know.
Unless time travel happens.
Unless.
And then nothing matters.
That's interesting. In the gameplay again, they mentioned that there's a reason for this apparently that they haven't said yet. So maybe there's something there.
Really
Interesting.
Breath of the Wild is a fever dream.
Breath of the Wild 2 ends with going back to Age of Calamity and fixing every. Wait a minute.
Wait,
it's Back to the Future.
What? One of the Age of Calamity is when they fixed everything, and then Breath of the Wild 2 are not being canon.
Endgame, basically.
Bro, there's too much going on right now.
So you're saying
it's too much.
Breath of the Wild 2 is a story about time travel and going back in time to make Age of Calamity happen?
Make Age of Calamity just turn out differently, and then Breath of the Wild doesn't happen.
What if you get like two endings in Age of Calamity? One where you get the good ending.
I would love that.
The timeline's already confusing enough. We don't need this.
Like, I mean,
timeline probably split again.
I like the whole idea of like I'm a huge Witcher geek. I mean, I'm gonna repeat Witcher 3, but the whole decision-based thing I love.
Agreed.
Remember they mentioned that in the original Breath of the Wild. They were like, those gonna be multiple endings, and they didn't like say specifics. I was like, oh, maybe there's like multiple,
Oh, what if they generated like, you know how in Witcher like they generate like story elements off of previous saves from other games, like from the games that came before?
Oh yeah, I didn't play the other games, but yeah, I did hear about that. Oh man, but yeah, obviously just to add a cutscene to do more memories. But I want like, your decision of like if you decide to do this quest over that quest, or like, I would love to see a good and bad ending. I'm a geek for those kind of things.
Replay value, man, ups it like crazy.
Exactly. Amen.
I guess that's pretty much it. You guys got anything else to add or anything?
I think I'm good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Tingle and Egg Guardian. That's about it.
Egg Guardian. Tingle and Egg Guardian. Biggest takeaways from this episode is Tingle is the cloaked figure and Egg Guardian for life. Anyways, that's going to do it, guys. Of course, links to everyone's channels are going to be linked down in the description below. Make sure that you go sub and check them out and all their content, because they are amazing creators and dear friends. Thank you guys so much for coming back on the channel and doing these discussions again. They're a lot of fun. Unfortunately, again, Nehru couldn't be here because he was catching some Z's, but yeah, thanks so much for watching once again, and we have been the Shiekah Squad, going dark.